Stories of God by Rainer Maria Rilke.
An introduction. René, Karl, Wilhelm, Johann, Joseph, Maria Rilke was born into a troubled marriage on the 4th of December 1875 in Prague, then part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. His mother, having previously lost a baby girl, would dress the young boy up in girl's clothing. Later, his father dispatched him to a military academy at age 10, but after a miserable 5 years, the young Rilke left due to illness, and instead entered first Prague and then Munich, and finally Berlin University, to study art history, philosophy and literature. His initial forays into literature was in poetry. His intense mystical and lyrical style was much admired, and over time inspired many succeeding generations. His short prose collection, Stories of God, written in an impassioned burst over several nights, was published in 1900 and offers a beguiling view of much of Rilke's influences and outlook. The following year he married the pioneering sculptor and artist Clara Westhoff. The union produced one child, a daughter, Ruth. He lived in Paris for most of the century's first decade, where he mixed with many great minds of the time. Although he continued to write, he also worked as a secretary to the sculptor Rodin. It was only after they settled in Switzerland in 1919 that his writing output was in full flow. Here he wrote profusely in both German and French, which included much on his previous travels, his left-wing sympathies, his religious and existential thoughts, in a unique and consummate style. From 1923 on, Rilke increasingly struggled with his health, which was now in constant decline, and often spent time rehabilitating at a sanatorium. Rainer Maria Rilke died of leukemia on the 29th of December 1926 in Montreux, Switzerland. He was 51.
The Tale of the Hands of God by Rainer Maria Rilke. One morning recently, I met the lady who lives next door. We exchanged greetings. "What an autumn!" she exclaimed after a pause, and looked up at the sky. I did the same. The morning was indeed very clear and exquisite for October. Suddenly, I had an idea. "What an autumn!" I cried, waving my hands about a little. And my neighbour nodded approvingly. I watched her thus for a moment. Her good, healthy face bobbed up and down so amiably. It was very bright. Only round the lips and at the temples there were little shadowy wrinkles. How could she have got them? And then I asked, all unexpectedly, "And your little girls?" The wrinkles in her face vanished for a second, but gathered again at once, darker than before. "Well, thank God, but—" My neighbour began to walk on, and I now strode along at her left, as is proper. "You know they have both reached the age, those children, when they ask questions all day long. What? All day long, and even into the night." "Yes," I murmured, "there is a time." But she took no notice. "And not just questions such as, where does this horse-tram go? How many stars are there? And is 10,000 more than many? Quite different things. For example, does God speak Chinese too? What does God look like? Always everything about God. But that's something we ourselves don't know." "No, of course," I agreed, "though we can make certain guesses." "Or about God's hands. What is one to—" I looked my neighbour in the eyes. "Pardon me," said I very politely. "You just said the hands of God, did you not?" She nodded. I think she was a little surprised. "Well," I hastened to add, "I happen to know something about his hands. By chance."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?